Welcome to Hit Points Gaming. In today's episode, we will be highlighting one of the board games we were able to demo at PAX East 2020.
Right.
It's one of my favorite themes and anime shows growing up. I did enjoy it.
Okay. I'm glad one of us did.
Wow. Cowboy Bebop by Japanime. This is the most recent one. It's called Space Serenade, right? They came out with, well, I know there's a Cowboy Bebop game about a year ago that we saw at PAX Unplugged. This is a brand new one.
Okay.
So we were able to sit down and actually have a demo.
Jackson of Japanime Games was there to help us, help learn the rules and demo with us.
Correct. So it's 4 players. We were able to go through and I think we were able to demo 3 rounds.
Right.
And what I really liked about this game was it's a deck builder. And I think a deck builder is a theme that I'm starting to see, at least with our gaming group, that we really do enjoy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you agree with me. So each one of us takes on the roles of one of the popular characters from Cowboy Bebop, either Spike, Faye, Ein, or Jet. Okay. So
Ein. Ed. No one plays Ein.
Ein's the dog.
Yeah, and you watched the show. Come on, man.
I was just making sure. I didn't play as her.
Okay, right. Braden did.
Right, I played as Faye. Right, that's great. So we were all bounty hunters, right? And it's semi-co-op, right?
Yes.
What we're doing is we're going around to 3 different planets on the board, and we all are after different targets. There's different, bounties out there that we have to go after. And you can either go after them by dealing damage or by investigating.
Right.
So you're using your cards just like in any deck builder to kind of build your hand up to either, of course, do damage or investigate. And we could kind of trigger off of different abilities from other players that are there on the board with us. So if you're in the same planet as mine, I can play certain cards like help do bonuses.
Right.
What I really did like, I felt it was very thematic because we were going after these bounties that were just like from the show. That's the thing. All the cards themselves were actually clips of the anime. So I knew exactly who the bounties were that I was going after.
That was one thing I really did find cool about it.
Right. And I guess I could say thematic in that sense.
Right.
I was able to, the nostalgia of going back and seeing these characters and going after them, that made sense to me. Sure, moving around the board, going after them. I guess we're hunting them. Yeah,
I mean, it's a deck builder, so how can you don't want to have all of this model and board and map to work with,
That's true. And what's really good about, I think, the cards were another cool thing with the images. If the one card that I played triggered with you as an ability, let's say I'm Faye and then you're Spike, my card actually had a clip of both Faye and Spike on the card. So I thought that was, they thought ahead.
They put a lot of work into that. Yeah. Plan that.
I like that. And basically what you're doing is you're trying to gather up points, and if you did any damage or did any investigation, you basically get like a bounty chip, right? And you're trying to get, each person, you needed to collect like 2 or 3 different bounty chips, and then a new person would come out and you would hunt down. At the end of the game, when you got
possibly a new person, which was interesting.
Right.
There could be no bounty on that planet for the time being.
And now there's only 2 bounties to go after.
Right.
And if you ever did whoever did the last point, they basically claimed that person for like tie-breaking purposes. So
I liked it because if I didn't claim that bounty, I still was able to get points by helping weaken or investigate the bounty.
Yeah, we're trying to we're working together, right? We both want to make money and capture this bounty.
Right.
But, I want to make a little bit more money than you. I want to be the one to actually turn them over to the police. So after X number of rounds, then the boss comes into play and you have to hunt him down. And I liked it because we possibly could lose at that point. There's basically you have a time limit to go after the boss and take him out. Which we didn't get to that actual part of the game, and you'll see this. We actually have a full playthrough of our video of all 3 rounds. It might even be 4 rounds because a few people didn't want to stop playing, which is really cool.
Which was interesting,
Yeah, so you can see exactly how that is, and you can take a look at the models. There's 5 actual plastic models in the game. So I definitely did enjoy it. Something that I'm looking forward to adding to my collection. Really just because I really do like Cowboy Bebop, and I like deck builders. And after we started playing, after we played it, and we went back to a hotel and throughout the rest of the day, we kept commenting about the game. And people that in our group that really aren't the biggest board game fans did enjoy it.
Right.
So, and it was easy for them to pick up. The demo was very helpful. It explained it. So, and then I think they really like the idea of, the deck builders. What other games are there that are like this, right?
Yeah, and I think the board game got Nick into actually watching Cowboy Bebop back in the hotel room.
That's right.
So now he's on this Cowboy Bebop kick now,
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool, from a board game that is about an anime. Instead, for him, it was a anime about a board, like I'm saying, it was the board game introduced him into the anime.
I'm glad.
His fun, his enjoyment of the board game and the deck builder, again, I think he liked that. So now the theme was cool, fun. I didn't get to play. I watched a lot of it.
Oh, you
didn't. I watched Kevin play because Kevin does not like. You'll see a lot where I'm over Kevin's shoulder. He's the guy with the glasses. He does not like competitive games. He only likes cooperative games. So you won't see it in the video because I cut it out. But at the beginning of the video is, oh wait, this is competitive. So as soon as he learned it's cooperative, competitive, Jackson explained that really well to him. He was like, okay, I might like this.
Right.
And then by the end of the demo, he was like, that was fun. He was one of the people not understanding that we had to leave. Yeah, we were.
Let's keep going. Like it's okay. We're just trying to play out the mechanics and how we get through this. And he's like, no, wait, we got to capture this guy. Yeah, but we're not gonna be able to finish the game right now. So that to me means it's really good. If you can capture somebody's attention in 3 rounds and they want to keep playing, I think you got people on the hook for that.
Right.
So that's our thoughts on the latest Cowboy Bebop game. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, the rest of the video will go into the actual playthrough of it. And what is that about?
It's about 35 minutes long. So at the beginning, like I said, Jackson explains what the game's about, the mechanics, the rules, and then we actually go into the gameplay. So you can kind of, if you're interested in the beginning part, whatever, you can go through wherever you need to.
Cool. So that was one of our highlights at PAX East 2020. I know we've got a few more videos coming out for you, so stay tuned for that. And I think we're going to have one full video of really our thoughts on the entire PAX experience. Yeah. So thanks a lot for watching. Let us know what you think of Cowboy Bebop, if you like it, and who your favorite character was. See you next time.
So I'm Jackson Wynn from Japanime Games. This is our newest game, Cowboy Bebop Space Serenade. This is actually a pre-release special, so it's not out until next month, so thank you for joining us. It'll be available in the middle of March for everybody else, but if you're here at PAX East, you get it a little bit early. We're sitting down to play Cowboy Bebop Space Serenade. It is a deck builder. It's semi-cooperative is the way. Oh, was that the table? Oh, sorry. I'm just knocking everything out, man. It is a semi-cooperative deck builder is the way I like to describe it, because no matter what you are doing in this game, if you're participating in taking down the bounties, you will get points. Goal of the game is, at the end of the game, whoever has the most points is the biggest, best bounty hunter in the galaxy. So that's it. If you want me to start explaining the rules, we can kind of jump into it.
We all have our own character board. We got Ed, Faye, Spike, and Jet.
Yep.
So what's going on with these boards here?
Yeah, so I like to explain that at the end a little bit, but your character boards are going to have your special powers on them. Okay. So every character has their own special powers. The first one is going to be available to everybody else if they're in the same location as you. They all cost fuel, which is a resource that you will accumulate over the course of the game. It'll go up and down depending on if you're traveling from planet to planet or using your abilities. And then the second one in that box there is unique to you. And so kind of going around, Faye can spend 2 fuel to get 1 Wulong, or she can spend any amount of fuel equal to the cost of a card in the purchasing row to get that card. She can't mix and match money and Wulong, or money and fuel in that way. So if it costs 3, you gotta spend 3 fuel, but it's a pretty cool power. Ed can spend 3 fuel to get 1 investigation, which is used to help take down bounties. Or Ed can spend 6 fuel to take any card from their discard pile and put it back into their hand. So a little bit of extra effect there, which is nice. For Jet can spend 2 fuel to discard 2 injuries of any combination between their hand and discard pile. So if you have 1 in your hand, 1 in your discard pile, you can get rid of both of them. Okay. Jet's other power spends 5 fuel to do 1 damage to a bounty and not get an injury in return. Because anytime you're fighting a bounty physically, you're going to get hurt. That's kind of how it works. For Spike can spend 3 fuel to draw 1 card from their deck, and if they don't like it, discard it and draw a new one. The bigger power lets you spend 5 fuel to get a 2 Wulong discount on any card in the row, and then put that deck card on top of your deck. So you can prep for the next turn. And then, as I said, if you're in the same location as any other character, you can use that grayed out ability on your board, which is their basic ability. Yep. So that's what's going on there. Every character starts with the same 10 cards. The 4 that are colored in your color are still the same as everybody else's, but they're your color, and that leads to combos on other cards. So some cards might be more useful to certain characters right off the bat. That said, looking at the cards, the things that matter is that gold symbol there, which is Wulongs, which is going to be the money you spend on cards in the purchasing row, and some abilities like this one let you spend money for other stuff, but it's primarily what it is. Okay. Fuel, which is that green droplet there, which actually gets tracked from turn to turn. It's the only resource that carries over. And again, is used for abilities like we talked about. And then the last two is the way your combat ability and your investigation, which is how you deal with these bounties. And so, having talked about that, talk about deck builders, we'll talk about the bounties, because that's kind of the important part here. That first number you're going to see on those 2 circles is how many resistance tokens gets put on that bounty. When either of those stacks is 0, the bounty is captured, and then everybody who has these tokens trades those in for victory points. The person who is the one who to empty that stack is also going to take that card, because sometimes, all these basic ones don't, but sometimes they'll have 1 or 2 extra victory points on them for the end of the game. Okay. Also, they're a tiebreaker in case there is a tie. You're like, well, I took in 3 bounties, you only took in 2, so it's going to be me. And so we have that there. And that said, that's all the rules for the game.
Okay, excellent.
So you can either fight or investigate?
Yep, and if you fight them, you're going to get hurt. You're going to draw one of these injury cards. They say what they do. They might go on top of your deck. They might go in your discard. They might do something immediately. It's kind of a grab bag. They do all sorts of stuff.
So you don't have to do both?
Yes.
The one or the other, you get them the same way.
Yes.
It's just one you could lead to being damaged.
Yeah. Okay. Investigation doesn't hurt you. It's the safe way to go after bounties, but you need to have that number that is on the other side, so you need 2 investigation for all these basic ones to take 1 off the stack.
Got it.
But only 1 fight.
Okay.
There's some that have higher numbers, and sometimes it's easier to investigate a criminal over take them down.
I see. Okay.
And so those kind of values help bring the theme to the characters.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right.
Yeah, easy.
So with that, if you want to shuffle your starting decks, going to shuffle them all up. We're going to draw 5 cards, and then whoever is the jazziest among you is going to be the first one to start.
Definitely the jazziest.
That's pretty jazzy. And so like many deck builders, when your turn is over, any cards you purchase, they'll go to the discard pile. All the cards you had in your hand will also go to the discard pile, and then you'll draw 5 new cards at the end of your turn.
So from a turn order standpoint, play cards, move around,
So you play all your cards out, they're all going to get played. You don't have to use all the resources on them, but they're all going to be in play. And then you can do whatever you want in whatever order. So if you want to purchase a card first, you can. If you want to move somewhere and then fight, you can. And that's somewhat important in the aspect of when you deal with a bounty, everybody there immediately goes back to the Bebop and we reveal new bounties, and that might have some things that affect the board. But that's the only timing issue with anything. But in this sort of demo game, like, it won't matter too much, but if you play the longer game, you might want to look at it and go, ooh, there's a chance that if I take down this bounty, it might reset the card row, so I'm going to do that first before I buy cards, because I don't like what's up there.
How many rounds are there before the finale?
So Vicious is when the finale shows up. He randomly gets shuffled into the last 3 bounty cards.
Okay.
So it's somewhere in the last 3.
So you basically go through the whole...
Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to necessarily see or deal with all the bounties, and we'll kind of see that when we take our first bounty down.
Okay.
But there's a way that bounties come out, and if they don't have somewhere to go, they just go away. But it affects the board still.
All right. So we shuffle off,
Yep.
draw the 5,
Yep.
lay all 5 out
Yep.
to start.
Yeah, go for it.
So we got fuel, no, fuel
Yep.
complement.
Fuel goes up. You're just going to track that.
4 wheel.
Yep.
Before purchasing, yeah.
Okay, and then the cost upper right.
Yep, upper right. So it looks like you're going to be able to buy any of these 3 cards.
Okay, so when you purchase them, now do you get these immediately or they go in your hand?
Straight into your discard pile. And then at the end of your turn, every card in your hand goes to your discard pile as well.
All right, well, I'm going to buy this guy.
All right.
Because I got to get those investigations
Yep.
points to start taking some damage.
And then anytime a card is purchased, a new card shows up. So if you had a lot of money, you would be able to like buy multiple cards
I don't have to
potentially.
wait to the end of the
Yep.
round to refill.
Yep, yep,
So discard face up.
yep.
And then, so that's all the
Yep.
resources.
And you could move if you wanted to, so you're over on the Bebop there, and you could spend fuel if you want to stage yourself at any one of these bounties.
So is it
Yep.
one fuel to move to each location, I guess?
Currently, yep, that's the fuel track. If ever that fills all the way up, the bounty escapes, but that typically doesn't happen in one of these demo games.
So if you stage yourself somewhere, is there any downside to not being on the Bebop versus being on the plane?
Nope, not really. Like, being somewhere puts you there. There are some cards which aren't here yet that mess with other players depending on where they are, but they will come up in the purchase row. They're not actually going to show up otherwise. So currently there's no downside to you whatsoever.
Well, see, here's what I was looking at. It's like, well, okay, we can get investigation or damage. You know, Teddy looks like he needs a bounty. He's 2 and 2.
Yep.
I'll start with Teddy.
I like it.
Okay. So I'm going to spend 1 fuel
Yep.
to take my guy over here. And,
Yep, just put yourself over on that location.
boom. Check out Teddy. And then that's it.
Yep, you just discard all those other cards, and then you draw 5 new cards, which in this case, because nothing happened, will be the rest of your deck.
Oh, so you can spend a point and get rid of the card.
That's pretty cool. Like it's auto in there.
Yeah.
That's the same point. So this card says you may pay 3 to remove this card. Does
Yep.
that get it out of the deck? I
Yep,
don't
exactly. So anytime it says remove, that goes away forever. So it's a built-in. You get the money for it, and then you're like, cool, get out of here. I'm done with you.
I have 5.
The row is yours.
The top right.
This one right here. There you are.
2 minutes. That's a lot. Yeah, it's this one.
That's the top of your deck, my man.
That's your discard. This is your deck. Yeah.
I only have 1 fuel though. Can I be at 0 fuel?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
You just have to have the fuel to spend it. You don't have enough investigation to go after the bounty, but you can still put yourself somewhere.
So you had mentioned before that individual people accumulate bounties and victory points. Is it like a pseudo versus match versus first whoever gets the most victory points?
Yes. So like I said, it's semi-cooperative in the sense of if you participate in taking down the bounty, you're going to get the points. But at the very end of the game, yeah. But at the very end of the game, whoever has the most is the one who wins the most.
So I've got 4 purchasing, so I want to pick. This is the only one I can really purchase unless there's one for 1.
There's another 3 there, yeah, but
Why? I mean, obviously this is my character.
Yep.
2 fuel.
So what benefit do I have? Like I can only buy this?
nope, you can buy anything.
It just is okay.
Yeah, so as I was kind of
I thought it
saying,
was something special because it was me.
no, that's just an indicator so you can see what's going on at the bottom. So as we sort of talked about in the early part, like the brief early bit is there's these combo sections down here.
Oh, that's what you. Okay.
Yeah, so if you happen to play, like if you played both of these cards in the same hand, you would get the extra 2 Wulongs because you have this other card in that
Not
same hand.
because I'm in the same.
Exactly.
location. Okay.
Yeah, this only has to do with your hand.
I misunderstood.
That's okay.
So it's interesting from a strategy standpoint. Like if you want to take down the bounties and get the points, you want to team up, work on
Yeah.
it. You're also going to look competitive because you want to be the one with the most bounties.
Yes.
We're all like working together to win, but
Yeah.
like who's the best bounty hunter
Yeah.
on the ship?
And there's that time to watch to try and jump in to snipe a bounty because some of the bigger ones have those victory points on top of them as well. And so if you're the one that takes them down, you get that
Get
extra
that
point.
final extra point.
So I can move 1 non-player character for free.
Correct.
That's the bounty.
So that would be anybody who is not currently being played. And since we're playing a 4-player game,
Oh.
Yeah.
but it's an extra benefit on that card to make sure, hey, I really want to get Spike over here so I can use their ability.
So you can age.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
the whole
got you.
crew like involved. Like
Yeah,
it's not just
yeah.
one character off.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So then I can do 4, which is basically only buy that.
Nope.
Or I can get rid of this.
So if you were playing, let's say, 2-player, right?
Mhm.
Like just like me and Corey's playing, and Edward and Spike, they're not involved.
Yep.
Do they still take we still take turns for them?
Nope.
Like if we move their characters
Nope.
around.
It's just
So
you
I'm
two
actually
taking
gonna do
turns
that.
and they're
I'm gonna
just
get rid
there.
of this.
You can
I'm
move
gonna get
them
rid of
to
that.
cards.
So I
then
spend
we
my
use
3 to get
abilities
rid of
affect
that.
them.
What was that?
So if we use
I
abilities
spend my
that affect
3
them.
to remove
Yeah,
it.
there's nothing that's going to affect them outside of cards. What was that?
I'm going to spend my 3 to remove that completely. Spend my fuel to go here.
Yep.
And I got 1 investigation, so I just take 1.
So it would take 2 for that, unfortunately. So you don't have enough to take that one.
Oh,
but you
okay.
do have 1 fight, so you would be able to physically try to take down that bounty, which would let you take one of the ones off of that stack.
So he can't knock off an investigation point unless he has the full 2.
Yes,
So you can't whittle him down.
correct. But you could still fight it, which would get you one of those tokens right now. You would just take a wound in regards to that.
What it is. So
All right.
I'll do that.
So you get this wound, and we read whatever is the exclamation
Card
point.
immediately.
Yep, so that one was a
Really
close one.
nothing.
Yeah, that one did nothing for you. So that was a great one to get.
Cool, yeah.
And then you just discard all those cards and you draw up to 5, and
Good.
now we're back to you.
I missed this one. I'm sorry. This
yeah.
is the damage deck?
Yeah, so this is the wound deck, the damage deck, and this one you just read whatever the exclamation point is, and this one just happened to
It's a
be.
blank.
Yeah,
Now, why did he have to pull that?
because he fought it physically. Yep.
And one of these came off?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So that one started with 3, and now it only has 2.
Oh, it's over there.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't see it.
So the other ability over here, does the other character have to be present for me to use those abilities?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I had Edward if you were with me, we get taken down the bounty.
You would get to take one of those tokens out, because you would spend the fuel, and then you would take that
And
token.
then with the second token here, I could have got both tokens.
Just the one, because it costs 2. It's that 2 cost in the bottom corner.
That's what I'm saying. If
Yeah.
I had the one here and then I bought one,
Yes.
I would have 2. I would take one.
Yeah, so you take one token now.
Oh, so
You have to get that
Yeah,
cost.
you have to take all the tokens out.
I get it.
Like how he just did 1 damage, he got that token.
Yeah,
Like that's the threshold to get 1 token.
But you don't get hurt by doing the investigation route, so it's a little bit higher cost usually.
But it's safer.
You don't have that chance.
2 marks here for the wounds. Is this to block the wounds or is that heal?
It heals you, so you would get to discard them either from your hand or discard pile in any combination.
Because I'm sure that some of these damage
Yeah.
cards that you take are then going to go into your deck, which sucks.
Yeah, so like this one would make you lose fuel and go away, but there's ones like this which says put this card in your discard pile, and then it has an effect for when it's in your hand to try and get rid of it. But Jet, with it being in his discard pile, would be like, cool, I'll just spend my 2 fuel, I'll get rid of this now. And then it doesn't even show up.
And then for the buying the cards, do I have to be the character of the color? Like,
Nope.
can I buy it? Is
They're
there any
for-
advantage to...
That's what he was saying before. So like if you
These
have this card
combos.
and that, you get
Not that it's specifically just you,
Yeah.
but it's the combo.
So if you had both these cards in your hand, because this is a blue card, it would trigger this effect down here, and because this is a yellow card, it would trigger that
So
effect.
it's not like the characters,
Yeah.
that's how you build the deck, is you build the combos.
And so as I said early on, you all have the same cards in your starting deck, but they're all colored to you. So sometimes some of these cards are better for certain players
Right,
to
they
start.
already have a yellow.
They have that card already.
Alright, so I think I don't know if I want to get rid of this card yet, because I feel like I need the money early on to start building the deck.
Yeah,
Now, all I can spend it on, though, is buying cards from top, right?
correct.
So I think I'll probably want to buy a plan of action to start getting some
Yeah.
cards going.
I like it.
So start doing that. I
This
got
is
one
still
fill.
warranted, even if I take him down by investigation.
still-
This is still
Yep.
a point.
Yep, every single token. So you can get into that strategy of, I don't want this bounty to go just yet. I can investigate
I can start
them.
fighting over
I
investigating
can flag
more
another
points.
point
Yeah.
and then finish him off.
And you can even work it on the same bounty of like, well, they have 1 left in their fight stack, but they have 2 over here. I'll take a little bit more off of that.
Cool. I got
I
you.
think I'll take a shot at Teddy.
All right.
All right, you got 2 wounds on him.
I got one wound I can do.
All right. So go ahead and take that token to say that you took that one off. And then we flip over that wound for you, and you do whatever it says in that exclamation point area.
Put this card on top of your deck.
There we go.
And then discard.
Yep, so you discard all those things in your discard pile. And then you draw as many cards from your deck as you can, up to 5. So you would draw that, and then reshuffle, and then draw the other 4.
Okay.
I'll take the blue card there.
There's that for you.
So that, as you said at the Bebop, you change the these.
No,
But,
so
you have to fill it.
so whenever a bounty gets captured,
Yeah.
or a bounty escapes, which is unlikely to happen in this scenario, but if ever one of these tracks gets all the way up to the final stage there, so it goes up 4 times, that bounty escapes. Any tokens people had, so if that bounty that you're on Mars escapes right now, you would get nothing. Even though you worked on that bounty, you got hurt in the process, if they don't get captured, nothing happens.
Okay.
Was Spike going to Mars?
Oh yeah, we're going here.
No, you're over here.
buddy.
Sorry.
I was just making sure. I was seeing things being like, all right, we're in the right
Take
spot.
my points.
You're all set?
Might shoot some trick shots.
So I'm going to get 1 fuel here. I've got 4 purchasing power, but I'm going to use my power to decrease fuel by 2, so I have 5
Yep.
purchasing power. I'm going to take this one here.
I like how the entries work, where it's not like it's directly necessarily ruining you, but it's just like it's ruining your deck because
Yeah.
you're getting a card that's useless.
Yeah, it's adding those junk cards to your deck. It might do nothing. It might take resources away from you.
I got lucky. I think you got lucky.
Well, I mean, now I'm going to have one less resource or bonus to use the next round.
If I still had cards to draw from.
And I'm gonna do 1 damage here.
Yep.
To kill him.
All right.
Take a damage card.
Yep. Let me flip this.
It's just a scratch. Okay. Screw discard pile.
It's
And
just a
then
flesh.
he's beat, right?
Yep, so this happens immediately, and since I'm all the way on the other side of the table, I'm going to have a little bit of help with this. So you beat that bounty, so you're going to take that card, take all the other tokens off, put them on the planet. You take the card, it's yours.
Okay.
That just shows, hey, I did this.
Yep.
Everybody on the planet goes back to the Bebop for free.
I like it.
Then we're going to flip over one at a time cards from the top of the big shot stack there, and we look to see where they go.
Oh, man.
So we look to see where Ganymede is. Ganymede's all the way over there. It's full, so they can't go there. So the fuel track on Ganymede goes up by 1.
Oh, I see.
And then we flip over the next one.
We're looking for
Earth. So they go to Earth. We look again at the numbers on the left in that disc. So he's got 4 fight to deal with
Yeah.
and 3 of the investigation. And they have an interplay effect, which works out because it was something I was going to describe otherwise. But now I don't have to miss the game to do it.
like it.
So that says we just reset the row. And in that same way, if ever you don't like the cards or they're too expensive, you can spend 2 fuel on your turn. Just boop, gone. So we discard
By
these.
him coming out automatically does it.
Automatically does it, so we get a new row for everybody. That just gets discarded. It's gone. They can't show up.
Okay.
But now it costs 2 fuel to go to Ganymede,
Okay.
and they're 1 step closer to escaping. So it's harder to get there. There's a little bit more pressure.
Gotcha.
7.
And when there's a certain number that escape, that's when.
Nope, just one of the last 3 cards has been
Last
vicious.
3 cards, that's
But escape and capture causes cards to get flipped over, so it's still progressing the
I
deck.
see. Gotcha.
So you'll get through almost all of the entire bounty deck.
Yeah.
And it's built on how many players there are. So a shorter game, like less players will have less bounties in the deck, so it'll go a little bit quicker. Reading all the cards. And then in essence, like, we've kind of played a couple of rounds here. I think we're on what, round 3?
Round 3?
Round 3, the first bounty was taken in. Like, that's pretty quick. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of deck builders, things don't necessarily.
Yeah, you gotta build up a lot.
Round 2. I only want 1.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, he starts round 2.
Yeah. So yeah, like round 2 is and we've already captured a bounty. Like that's.
Basically, we were trying to manage, obviously, your fuel.
Yep.
I like how we instantly got to go back.
Yep.
Which is good.
And it's part of that theme too. Like you beat the bounty, everybody's back up in space. You're looking for that next bounty.
We got some food to eat now. We got some money.
Yeah. You got some beef for your peppers.
Right.
Actual special beef.
Yeah.
I need more investigations here.
So if you do 2 damage, say, in 1 round, do you draw 2 wound cards or just the active attack?
2
you
wound.
draw one?
It's 1 for each time you take a stack off. And so in the same way that the investigation on a lot of these early ones is a higher number, some of the bounties in there end up having a higher number for their wound track as well. So you have to have more to be able to take 1 off. But for each one you take, you would only take 1 wound.
So how does that deck get set? Besides Vicious in the bottom 3, is it just as soon as we did the starters, I'm assuming the starters were there,
Yep.
everything else is shuffled?
Yep. So again, based on the number of players, you pull in a number from each planet, you shuffle them all together.
Got it.
And then the last 3, you shuffle Vicious into those. So you know where he is, but you don't know exactly when he's going to show up.
So I'm going to pay 1 to remove this card.
All right, I'll take that from you.
And now I'm going to travel.
Oh, you got so much fuel over there. Look at you
So
go.
there's 1 fuel to go to here. And then I'm going to spend 5 fuel
Yeah.
to do a damage with
Yep.
1 wound.
Yep, so take that token.
And then I'm going to do a damage and shoot again.
Yep, take that other token. That's yours.
Nice.
And that one will get you the wound. Which here you go for that as well.
This
You
guy,
go either one stack or the other.
Yeah.
just a scratch. So when it's played, it's gone. So it's
Yep.
just one turn.
Yep. Yep. And I think that one goes into your discard pile?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
So everybody goes back to the Bebop like we just did. We're going to flip over cards from the big shot deck. So flip over 1. Let's see where they go. Ganymede. So that goes up 1 more.
So
Yep.
I guess the next one.
If there's another Ganymede, which we flip over the next one, then they will escape. It's just Earth.
Goes here.
And so now you see that there's nobody on Mars. We don't flip anything else. There's just
really?
nobody there.
Oh.
So now the hunt's harder. We have these 2
Now we have
bounties,
2.
and now there's a higher fuel cost to try and get
So
there.
after the second car, that's it. You don't
Yeah,
check anymore.
exactly.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. Now I'm assuming if you capture this bounty,
You would flip over 2 new cards, and there's a good
Two.
chance that
They
they
might
might go
split
there.
up. Okay.
Or there could be another Ganymede card there, which would then cause that person to run. So then you would have 2 bounties that you have to finish triggering to try
Right.
and put out.
okay. Does this ever get reset back down?
Yes. So anytime a new bounty would go into that slot, it gets reset to 1. Or when they escape, it
Got
resets to 1.
Okay.
Because somebody has to be there for the escape gauge to go up.
Got it.
So I think it's back to you.
Is there any way to remove cards that don't actively have a way to say remove this
Yep.
card from the deck?
Yep. There's going to be other cards that show up. So this card right here, Space Mushroom, says draw 2 cards, remove 1 of them, or pay 3 fuel.
That's not put them in the discard.
Yeah, that's out of your deck like you did with this one. We tried to use very basic language with the rule set to make sure that it was easy to understand, and
Yeah, the keywords remove versus discard.
Yeah.
Like, fix it right there.
yeah, making sure everything's consistent. Oh yes, and the other thing we didn't do is all those tokens that you have for that bounty, you get those victory points.
Right.
I took the 2.
Yes, so we didn't do it for the other one as well. These go back to the pool. So let's do this one first that we had before.
Okay.
Those go back in, and then you take those victory point
Oh,
chips.
'cause obviously.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. For the ones that were okay, yours hasn't been captured yet.
Sorry, was yours 1?
Yeah, just 1. But you had 1 from that bounty, so you get 1 victory point, and then you got the 2, so you're gonna have 3 victory points
So
total.
notice this is 1 on one side, it's blank on the other.
Yeah.
Is the blank meant to indicate 1, or are
No, they're all blank on the backside. That's just their backside.
What's on your side?
2. It's okay.
We'll take 2.
Unless you want to get the 1.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah. Let's get the 1. Make it.
We'll take 2.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. As soon as you have that in your hand, it goes away. And so you'll have 3 points currently.
I like the recessed sections of the character cards. It's almost like your collection or storage of
Yeah.
the fuel of the different pieces.
Yeah.
And actually, that's really nice having that inset for the fuel tracking, because there's so many cards that you put like a counter on top and you kind of move around.
Yeah.
Like one bump on the table.
As evidenced by me having my elbows on the table already.
Yeah. Where are we going?
Yeah. If you shake it hard, it's,
Fight it.
yeah. If you shake it hard, it's gonna go. But
But I like that. Like, it's easy to print a lot of cards that just have like the glossy on top of the pictures, and they're cool,
Yeah.
but like it feels like more of a premium style game when you have like the inset and the texture.
and we're really happy about that from a publishing standpoint. So if I may talk, like it's a $50 game. That's it. It comes with 5 really nice miniatures. You do have to paint them yourself if you want to, but it's filled like 5 really high quality miniatures.
Yeah.
And we did the double back cardboard inserts for the characters, which is that extra little step of the premium.
Look at that. Like, it feels like a legit play. It's not something that like gets bent or just left on the side, thrown it back. It's $10. Or,
Yeah. And then again, like all the art assets, like all the character cards are really good, and they're all in theme. So again, talking about those combo cards, every single piece of art also has the other character who's comboing in the bottom.
that's a really great
Very
detail.
subtle stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thought that went into this.
We were really excited about this license. It's definitely the anime that got me into anime originally. It's also the anime that got our president Eric into anime.
I've been saying that to these guys. They're like, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
What?
It's such a classic. It was on Cartoon Network for a long time too. Like, it's a big one.
I am.
Well, he's been telling me about it because we saw the game yesterday, and we're talking about it because he loves the game. We remember last night at dinner. We started like pulling up episodes on Hulu and started going through it. Like,
Yeah.
all right, let's check this out.
That's a good place to be. We're like, all right, this game is getting me into a show. Okay.
Yeah.
So like, how hard is Vicious? Like, how many cards? Are...
Vicious is pretty hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Like Vicious is rough. Anytime you hurt him, he gives you 2 wound cards. He moves around. He messes with the players.
Because really, is there?
Don't forget,
There's
you
no
have
way
all
to
these-
lose.
you have a suit.
Yeah.
Get to the
You
end.
always get to Vicious. You always have to deal with Vicious. But
Like here, you can use abilities that involve
like,
that character.
there's some things with, and again, like not even talking about this. The whole rule book is also a manual for being a bounty hunter,
Nice.
which is kind of like an extra little nod to everything. But like Vicious shows up, and Vicious can escape. So if he escapes, everybody loses.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
really can
Yeah.
lose. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again,
you
it's
want to be
that.
strong enough by the time you get there to
Well,
actually
actually,
take
I
them
think you
out.
have
Yeah.
fuel.
And usually you are. If you're like thinning your deck out, you're actively going out after bounties, you're making good purchases,
Okay.
you're gonna be, you can do it. It's still gonna be hard. It is a hard altercation, but it's tuned pretty well.
I like it.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
So you
Can I activate this twice?
You can use it as many times as you have
I
resources
can
for.
do that.
So you had 9
So I
fuel
spend
tonight?
one. I spend one fuel.
2, because it's higher
Oh,
now.
2 fuel. That's what I
Your
meant.
head looks like the ocean, and I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Sand and the waves, I love it.
Totally unintentional. I appreciate it.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Perfect, nailed it.
I'm gonna do 1 damage,
Okay.
just to get another.
And
little
get that
thing in
wound.
there. Ooh. And then I'm gonna spend 3 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's all with 0 to get the last 2 here.
Nice.
So it's only going to be 1. Keep in mind, because it's 2 per
you need 2
2
to
per
do it.
stack.
But you still get victory.
But you still get those. You're going to get those, and that's a good bounty to
That's
take
still
down.
gonna go in. I got 2 coins. I don't think I can do anything with that.
Doesn't look like it.
Is there any downsides to a bounty escape? Like a regular bounty escape?
Regular bounty, not so much. Again, it's if you were working on that bounty and you have those tokens,
Yeah, time wasted.
if they escape, you don't get any points.
Oh,
Got
so
it,
if you've
yeah.
already gotten...
Yeah.
The bounty's been limited for them to turn
Yes,
victory.
exactly. So that's the trick there. So that one on Earth, if you're working on Earth and they don't get captured, they're out of here.
We'll do one more round, see what happens.
Sounds good. So I got 2 fuel. I got a couple bucks.
Are you gonna finish him?
Let's see.
Hope so.
If you don't, then I definitely can. You can?
It's up to you.
Alright, so I
Alright, so
can
minus
definitely
3.
let somebody else
Am I allowed to look at...
And they might, like, if they can jump over there and snipe it from you, like, that's a thing they could do.
Yeah, because I can use the power, but I don't even have one investigate.
Is there any combination of fuel wherever, like if you discard a card, draw a card, it goes in your deck, not your active hand at that moment? There's no way you can
Well, you draw a card, it's going into your hand.
Yeah, so when you draw that card, you have it in your hand.
like right now. Right?
Yeah.
If I'm my turn.
Yeah, if you use that power, you draw that card. You look at that card and say, I don't want this. You discard it and draw a new one, which is what that first power is. So you're always getting an extra card off of that power.
And I think that's it. I feel like that guy's might be going down soon.
It sounds like it from what I heard.
I guess I can.
So I'm going to save some fuel and see what comes out.
Oh man, this guy's gonna escape on us.
I was going backwards.
I'd be more worried about that one over on Ganymede first.
Yeah, that guy's still got 2 turns before he goes anywhere.
I don't even know about that guy. I didn't see his bounty.
I love that happened too, because that's one of the basic ones. There's there's 6 different basic ones, so it's not always going to be the same. And the fact that of all the demos I've done so far, I've never seen that happen yet. So it's just like, oh yeah, that chump, that small fish might get away.
That's cool. You're not always using the same
Yeah.
bounties. That's what makes it up.
And the big deck will use most of the same ones, but
Yeah,
again,
yeah, right.
I'm gonna do the 3 fuel, draw a card.
yeah. So you draw a card from your deck,
Here.
Hey,
and then you can choose to keep it or to get rid of it.
that does nothing. It just gives you a money.
It's still in your hand though.
Yeah,
You don't have to, so you still have that. The other one got discarded.
Oh, I can't just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, it's just the one time, yeah. So it's the draw, look at it, I don't like this.
I was told by that. So this does.
One damage.
Other players must choose between going back to Bebop or taking one wound.
So that's one of those interactive cards we talked about briefly, like that can force everybody else to, I want to go after this bounty, I have to take this wound to stay here,
stay
or you're
here.
sending everybody back.
Got it. We're not with you, so we don't get affected by it.
No, you do. It's
keeping us over
yep,
here?
it's being played. They will say, so they'll all have the conditionals on it of
Got it.
all characters in a location with a criminal has this thing happen. If it says all players, it's all players.
Get me out of here. I don't want to get beat up.
I'm gonna go back to the Bebop.
All right, you're already there.
Yeah.
You got it.
I gotta go back.
You don't have to. You can take a wound. You can stay there and take a wound.
I got no fuel.
My plan's
so I'm gonna take a wound.
All right, you take your wound. You do whatever it says. If it says it goes in your discard, it goes in your discard.
Can I do a damage?
Yeah, get that point.
I was hoping to draw.
There's that wound for you.
Oh, let's see.
What does it say to do?
Immediately lose 1 fuel, then discard. So when it pops up,
Yep.
that's what I do.
Yep.
Just do it now.
Yep.
All right.
Put in the traps.
Well, it's not going to be anything I can do. Just a scratch comes out.
Nice. There you go.
I can do 4 purchasing power. It's not going to really matter. So, go ahead, Brady.
I was hoping to draw.
See what you can do on your turn.
Yeah,
You have no fuel.
I have no fuel.
You're beat.
Yeah. I was gonna use yours, but it's backwards.
Yep.
I was like, I got all this money,
Turn that money into fuel.
but I can't do that. Which theoretically I should.
There's 2 cards here.
I don't want this one.
Excellent.
How's that?
Yeah, wherever you guys are at.
Oh,
Are we-
that was it.
Oh,
Nick.
I want one more round. You want one more round?
We all left. We left the ship. Come on.
Oh, I can kill that guy.
He's gonna escape on you.
Son
Go
of
kill him.
a-
Go kill him.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Finish it up.
Stealing my bounty.
It's okay. You participated. You're gonna get those points.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we can do it. Good.
Yeah. He'll take the card like we talked about, but you'll still get the points.
One more round.
So it still benefits you to, like, if you do the most work on it, you're still getting.
I like that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
It's not haha.
damage.
Yeah.
Their punch.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is probably explained already. Each one of these are representative to one of these.
Yeah. Yeah. Only if the bounty gets captured. So you swap them back in.
killed him, take a wound.
Hey, look, you lose some fuel.
Immediately lose 2 fuel, then remove this card. I'm out of fuel anyway.
Ship log now.
And then this goes back here. I get victory point. You get a victory point.
You get 2.
2
Yep.
victory.
Yay!
He would take the card to say, hey, I brought this bounty in, which is, again, sometimes they have points, and some at the end of the game, it's a tiebreaker.
Would you
No, I
tell?
like that though, because the whole time I was here,
Oh.
Yep.
oh, okay. But it's one thing, like I'm doing work, but somebody's gonna come and snipe.
Yep.
If I can't take it in,
Yeah.
in one turn, somebody's gonna come and snipe
Yeah.
and take it from me.
But then you're not punished.
Right.
And yeah, if you want to go towards the end, I think Vicious is at the back there, so we can pull the Vicious card out.
Okay, you got it.
Or knock the camera
Go
over.
through and see a few of the other guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Very cool. And Vicious.
There's Vicious.
Oh, there he is.
Look at that perfect cut.
Oh, okay. Number of players.
Yep, number of players for the stacks.
It's only 1 damage to hit him. I guess it's not.
He hurts you for 2 damage though every time you fight with him. So like he's,
That's much different.
and then once he's done, if the movement deck runs out, if he's done doing stuff at that point in time, he gets away. Everybody loses.
What planet does he spawn on?
Ooh, that one's a good question. I think it's based on where people are.
Whoa.
So you need 9
Oh, he
units on
moves at
one
the end, so
player?
yeah, he's gonna constantly keep jumping. You gotta track him down.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so he gets a movement deck that gets built out of other cards, and that shows where he ends up. And it's based on the other bounties.
Ah, very cool.
So he'll end up somewhere based on that movement deck.
Yeah.
It'll get there, and then you have to actually go to where he is to confront him, and he starts moving around and doing things to the players.
Got it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What was the condition where, like, if he leaves, everyone loses?
So when that deck you build for the movement deck empties out,
Oh, that's right.
he gets out.
You got a timer.
Like he's done all he needs to do.
Yeah.
And so interesting point, just how we kind of ended right there. We
Yeah.
took out one of the bounties. We drew a new card.
Yeah.
So we had a new bounty from
Yep.
Mars. Are we done? We've drawn no more bounties that once we have somebody that goes to a planet? So like
No, you keep. So you would draw 2 every single time.
Oh, you always draw 2 cards.
So there's a chance for them to show up nowhere again. But there's things that like can sort of cascade trigger. So like you flip those 2 over. If it causes a bounty to escape, then you're going to flip 2 more over. So like things will start to fill to some extent. But
So as the game goes on, like a lot of stuff just starts happening.
Yeah.
Start changing.
yeah. And it depends on what the card draws are and how things work out. And you never know, based on which order you take down bounties,
Right.
what's going to happen to the other
Yeah,
planets.
The cascade event's really interesting because you have somebody who's like halfway through a bounty, they're ready to convert to victory points.
Yeah.
Somebody escapes, somebody else escapes, all of a sudden like it forces their person
Yep.
out to draw so many cards.
Yeah.
With all the fuel, now they're just stuck on a planet. with
Yeah.
no else. That's pretty.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for your time. We love it.
Very good
It's a lot of
feedback
fun.
with it.
I'm upset that we can't keep playing.